Welcome to the selfgrowth.com show. My name is David Riklan, and I'm the founder of selfgrowth.com. Today, we'll be discussing how to release yourself from everything that's holding you back. It's a big subject. To help us understand this topic, I'm excited to interview Clarissa Leary. Make sure to listen closely. We're going to be sharing a lot of information today. Before we get started, I just want to take a couple of minutes and share some information about Clarissa. Clarissa is a property developer and a creatrix transformologist. And we'll talk about what that is in a little bit. She had a traumatic childhood, came from a public housing area, and some challenging relationships. From having her first child, she started on the journey of wanting to own her own business and learning personal development. She started listening to Anthony Robbins, who I listened to for many years, and many others, attended many courses, Pathways of Light courses, and she's a member of a global group, GIN United, where she really started understanding the power of our thinking and creating our journey. The massive leap into becoming confident was when she stumbled upon Creatrix, and she decided to train to become a transformologist because of the powerful impact that it had on her life. Clarissa is passionate about helping people invest in property and helping women become the beautiful, powerful, confident beings that they should be. So what I'd like to do right now is I'm going to ask you, before I introduce Clarissa, I want to ask you to jot down a website. This is going to be important. It's how you contact her, but she's also offering a free masterclass. So I'm going to ask everybody just to take a minute and write this down. And her website is www.clarissaleary.com. And her first name is C-L-A-R-I-S-S-A, Leary, L-E-A-R-Y. So it's clarissaleary.com. And to get to this free masterclass, it's /webinar. So clarissaleary.com/webinar. All right. Clarissa, welcome to our show.
Hi, David. How are you?
Good, good. So far, so good. I'm very excited about this subject. There's a lot I want to cover today. And I want to start, today's subject is how to release yourself from everything that's holding you back. Why is it important to release yourself from everything holding you back?
Because it sort of stops us from being our true selves, and it stops us from succeeding in business and life, and relationships, for instance. So, you know, we sometimes follow patterns in relationships and find certain people that are not actually that positive for us. It stops us from growing and developing with our children. It can also hold us back from things like health and fitness, and business wealth as well. So yeah, there's a number of reasons why it can stop us from doing things in our lives, because we have negative beliefs and values that might not be serving us.
All right. Well, what are some of the other issues? So clearly, no one wants to be held back. So what are the main issues that are holding people back?
So the main issues are like epigenetics. So we take on past life experiences from our generations, so our mum and our dad and our nan and pop and so on and so on. We also have belief systems and value systems that are not working for us. So, you know, for instance, we might have grown up in an environment where money was seen to be a bad thing, or our parents were always fighting about money. So then we create a money block around that. So some of those things, you know, they're definitely holding us back, and we might get to a certain level in income and then we can't go any further. Other things are like fear of success, fear of failure, resentment. So those types of things are holding us back.
All right, so there's quite a few things, and we're going to jump back because you mentioned the term epigenetics. So I want to get back to that in a little bit. But before I do, I know one of the things I mentioned earlier was this Creatrix, and I know that you're trained on using a system called Creatrix that's designed to help people release themselves from what's holding them back. Can you explain what exactly is Creatrix?
Yes, so Creatrix is a closed eye process that emulates the awakening that occurs in the eye of a wake-up call, but without that life sort of threatening trauma that usually triggered by one of those. So it's a very nice process. It's sharing sort of a story, and the person that's having the creatrix done is releasing those blocks themselves.
So it's a tool for releasing blocks that's based on some story, some story that you've had in your life.
Yeah, yeah. So like money doesn't grow on trees, for
Hmm.
instance. That's quite a common one. Or money is the root of all evil. Those kind of languages that we're using, and those blocks and beliefs and values that are holding us back, we can release those, and it's long term.
All right. Now, creatrix, I know I mentioned in the intro that you've mostly work with women. So one of the things you work with is women. Is creatrix, is this process for men and for women?
So creatrix is for women, innovatrix is for men. So women work with women and men work with men because of the differences between male and female.
Okay, that's interesting. So when you're trained, you're in essence trained to work with women because there's certain things about women that might be different than what there are about men in terms of the process.
Yeah, that's right. So women have a womb, so we create life, and there's things in there that are different to men. So those differences is why we need to women to work with women, and men
Mhm.
to work
Okay.
with men. Hmm.
All right. You started talking a little bit about creatrix. Can you delve a little bit more into how creatrix works?
Yes, so Creatrix is a closed eye process where a transformologist, which is me, takes you to a place in your brain and body where your AHA moments occur. So where all those things, blockages and unconscious mind things are happening. We suspend you into a long enough so that you can get that right sort of questioning
Hmm.
to then it's kind of interesting to get that right kind of questioning process till your unconscious mind releases itself from those negative perspectives that you have.
So
Yeah.
it's based on the fact that I would imagine that a lot of these blocks are unconscious, and this process kind of takes you through and lets you tap into that.
Yes, yeah. And the interesting thing with Creatrix is it's not like counselling where you're going over and over your story all the time.
Hmm.
It's you write down your story once, your whole story, you just keep writing, just like a journal. And then we go through that. And from there, we can pick out those things that need to be released. So
Okay.
yeah, you will find certain words and things through that process where we know that we need to release certain things. So like the fear of success,
Hmm.
the money blocks. There could be things around relationships that are not working. So yeah, we pick out those and we release those.
Is it typically a one-on-one process where you're working one-on-one with someone, or is it ever a group process?
It's a one-on-one process. It usually takes about 1.5 to 2 hours, where we can release about 3 blocks during that time. So we normally do probably about 6 sessions, is usually around that sort of average where we're
Hmm.
releasing basically everything to get you back on track to create new patterns. Yeah, so it's just that one-on-one, and it can be done anywhere. So just like you and me right
Hmm.
now, I can
Right.
do Creatrix in Zoom meetings, so it doesn't matter where you are around the world.
Okay, so you could be standing next to each, sitting next to each other. You can be doing it virtually as long as you're communicating.
Yes, yeah.
All right. You mentioned this term earlier, epigenetics. Can you delve a little bit more deeply into what exactly is epigenetics and how that fits in?
So we have our conscious mind, so we have our head chatter going on there, and that's sort of where most therapies lie, affirmations, when we read books and stuff like that. So it's all going into the conscious mind.
Hmm.
The unconscious mind is the heart and the gut. So that's where your past experiences, life experience, ingrained conditioning happens. So that's sort of more like your modern and alternative sort of therapies, NLP, energy types, and things like that. And when you tap into that area, it's usually it's still not at that DNA level, that epigenetics level. So things might reoccur again in 2 years' time, for instance. But when we get right down into that DNA epigenetics level, it's where the ancestral traumas and experiences lie. And that's where most therapies are not tapping into. So this taps in right into that bottom level where we've received those past experiences from different generations. And that's what Creatrix clears out. It's the unconscious stuff with those beliefs, values, and things, and then the epigenetics of all those past experiences.
Interesting. So it's taking into account kind of your historical DNA of where you've come from, in addition to all your own personal experiences.
Yeah, because sometimes, and we've probably all experienced this, where we sometimes do things or say things and we go, oh my God, that's the same as my mum. Or, you know, that's the same as my grandparents. Well, that's what it kind of is those things. And there's generations where women may have been threatened or abused or something in their lives, and you can actually see in the generations where it might be, you know, 4 generations in a row of where this has happened to the women in that family.
All right. Now, from your experience in working with this and working with people, how does it help you? You mentioned you focus working with women primarily. How does it help women? What's the expectations of women who learn this process and go through this?
Well, from my experience with the women that I've worked with, it's been like a total life change. So they just feel a lot more confident. They have more clarity. They feel more settled within themselves. So they generally are a lot happier within themselves. So they're starting to get that self-esteem back, because that's a big issue with women, is that self-esteem, because of all the generations of where women, you know, we weren't allowed to vote and those kind of things and stuff like that. So we're bringing back that confidence and self-esteem to women.
Okay, that makes sense. So one of the things I talked about earlier when I gave a little bit of your background is this masterclass that you teach. I want to give out the URL again, but what I'd like you to do is spend a couple minutes and share with everybody what you're going to be doing in this masterclass. Because I know today we're not delving in deeply in terms of the practice of Creatrix, how it works. I want you to share a little information about what their expectations, what you'll do through the masterclass. But before you do that, let me give out the website one more time for people. It's ClarissaLeary.com. I'll spell that one more time for you. It's CLARISSA Leary, LEARY.com, ClarissaLeary.com/webinar. And if you go there, you'll be able to sign up for free. You'll be able to sign up for this masterclass. Now, can you just delve a little bit more deeply? What are you going to be covering in the masterclass, and what are people going to get out of that?
So what we're going to do in the masterclass is talk about the differences between men and women. So there's some very clear differences between, you know, our brains and how we think and how we do things, and some of those epigenetic blockages that are there. We're also going to talk about, you know, our unconscious mind and our conscious mind. So where we whether we're in that sort of blame game or taking responsibility, and the different languages around that. And then we're going to talk about, there's a couple of exercises in there that you can do. So that shows us how different our conscious mind and our unconscious mind is. And then we talk a little bit about the Creatrix and moving forward and what the steps are through that.
Okay, so you're going to delve a lot more deeply into it. And you mentioned some exercise for people, and really the goal, I guess, is to give people a really clear understanding and gain some value through the exercises. All right, so I'm going to give that one more time. It's your name, very easy, ClarissaLeary.com/webinar. And if people want to get in touch with you directly, what's the easiest way? Should they just go to your main website? What's the best way to get in touch with you, to email you, or contact you?
They can go straight to my website, there is a page where you can book a blockage call straight away with me, which is about an hour conversation around, what are you wanting to do with your life, and what are those needs that you want to get out of it. And that's a free blockage call, so they can go straight to there and book one straight away if they don't want to do the masterclass.
Okay. All right. That's a lot of value. Greatly appreciated. And once again, clarissaleary.com/webinar. And before we finish up, we covered a number of different things today. Do you have any final words for our audience about what you do or about anything going on, anything you want to share with people before we wrap up for the day?
Just that, this is for women that are really, 100% committed to change and have that little bit of awareness around them. So, if they realize that they're stuck in a couple of areas, or they get a bit of anxiety in certain situations, or they're quite stressed at work or in their business, or they can't kind of get their business to the next level, then this is an absolutely fantastic program, because it is really fast and it's very long lasting, and it's really, really easy. So it's a really nice process.
I like that. So that gives me a clear understanding of who this is for and who you work with and what's the real value. All right. So first, I want to thank you for joining us today. It's been very valuable, and I recommend check it out, sign up for this masterclass. It's a lot of value. Clarissa just touched on it today in terms of some of the technology and what they're doing, but I highly recommend checking it out. Sign up, take a minute or two. And I want to once again thank you for joining us, Clarissa.
And thank you, David. It's been a pleasure.
And I want to thank everybody for listening, and I want to wish everybody great success in your life. We'll talk to everybody soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.